The alien's body lay crumpled against the alley wall, her pale blue skin streaked with dark blood that pooled beneath her shattered leg. Her breathing came in sharp, wet gasps that echoed off the metal walls of the trading station. 3 fingers on her left hand were bent at impossible angles. Her eyes, large and golden, tracked the shadows above where scavenger drones circled, waiting. Marcus Cole stepped into the alley and froze. Every instinct screamed at him to walk away. The station had rules. The Covenant had rules. You didn't touch wounded aliens from restricted species. You didn't interfere with Korath business. You definitely didn't risk your trade license and your life for a dying girl nobody would miss. Her eyes found his. Marcus cursed under his breath and sprinted forward, dropping to his knees beside her. Up close he could see the burns across her chest, the deep cuts along her ribs. Someone had worked her over professionally. Someone had meant for this to hurt. "Hey," he said softly, "can you understand me?" Her lips moved. No sound came out. The first drone descended, its scanning beam washing red across her face. Marcus grabbed a pipe from the ground and swung hard, smashing the machine into sparking fragments. 2 more dropped lower, their collection claws extending. He scooped the alien girl into his arms. She weighed almost nothing, her bones hollow like a bird's. She made a sound between a whimper and a hiss. "I know," Marcus said. "I know it hurts." He ran. Behind him, the drones shrieked their alert protocols. Ahead, the alley opened onto the main concourse, where 1,000 species conducted business under the harsh white lights. Marcus burst into the crowd, shoving past a group of Helkari merchants. Their chittering protests followed him as he ducked into a maintenance corridor. Sirens wailed. The girl's blood soaked through his jacket, hot and viscous. Her head lolled against his shoulder, her breathing growing shallower. Marcus kicked open a service hatch and dropped into the sublevel tunnels, landing hard on the grated floor. Pain shot through his ankle, but he kept moving, following the narrow passages toward the human quarter. A security checkpoint materialized ahead, 2 Korath guards in their ceremonial armor blocking the way, their 4 eyes fixed on Marcus, then on the girl in his arms. "Human," the larger one said, his translator rendering the words flat and cold. "You carry contaminated cargo. Surrender it for disposal." Marcus didn't slow down. No. The guard's mandibles clicked. His hand moved to his weapon. Marcus shifted the girl's weight and drew his own plasma pistol with his free hand, aiming it directly at the guard's center mass. "Try me," Marcus said. For 3 seconds, nobody moved. Then Marcus fired. The plasma bolt struck the guard's shoulder, spitting him sideways in a spray of purple blood. The second guard lunged forward, his blade extended, but Marcus was already moving. He ducked under the slash and fired again, catching the alien in the knee. The guard collapsed with a shriek that made the girl in Marcus's arms flinch. Marcus didn't stop to watch them fall. He halted through the checkpoint, his boots hammering against metal grating as alarms screamed through every speaker in the sublevel. Behind him, he heard the heavy thud of reinforcement boots hitting the floor. The human quarter entrance appeared ahead, marked by faded earth flags and hand-painted signs in a dozen languages. Marcus shouldered through the security door just as plasma fire scorched the wall beside his head. The heat washed over his neck, singeing hair. Inside, the atmosphere changed immediately. The sterile Covenant architecture gave way to makeshift human construction, welded plates and repurposed shipping containers stacked 3 stories high. The air smelled like cooking oil and ozone. "Close it," Marcus shouted. A woman with gray-streaked hair slammed her fist against the emergency seal. The blast door dropped with a boom that shook dust from the ceiling. Plasma fire hammered against the other side, making the metal glow orange in spots. "Marcus Cole, you absolute idiot," the woman said. Her name was Victoria Grant, and she ran the quarter's medical bay. Her eyes went wide when she saw the alien girl. "What did you do?" "Saved her life," Marcus said, breathing hard. "She needs help, Vic." Now, Victoria stared at him like he'd grown a second head. "That's a silvery. Do you have any idea what kind of trouble you just brought down on all of us? I know exactly what I did. The Korath will tear this place apart looking for her. The Covenant will revoke our charter. We'll all be spacing before the week is out." The girl made a wet coughing sound. Blood bubbled at the corner of her mouth, darker now, almost black. Her golden eyes had lost their focus. Marcus looked at Victoria. "Are you going to help her or not?" Victoria held his gaze for a long moment. Then she grabbed a medical kit from the wall and gestured toward a side corridor. Bring her. Fast, and pray to whatever god you believe in that she's worth what this is going to cost us. They moved through narrow passages between living quarters, past humans who stopped and stared at the broken alien in Marcus's arms. Word would spread. It always did. In an hour, everyone in the quarter would know what he'd done. Victoria's clinic occupied a converted cargo bay, its walls lined with human medical equipment scavenged from a dozen sources. She cleared an operating table with one sweep of her arm, sending tools clattering to the floor. Marcus laid the girl down as gently as he could. Up close, under the harsh lights, her injuries looked even worse. Her leg was crushed below the knee, the bone visible through torn flesh. The burns on her chest had gone deep, charring tissue black. Her breathing had become a barely perceptible flutter. "She's dying," Victoria said flatly. "Then save her." "Marcus, I don't know Sylvar physiology. Their blood chemistry is different. Their organs are in different places. I could kill her trying to help. She's already dead if we do nothing." Victoria pulled on gloves and grabbed a scanner, running it across the girl's body. The readout painted a grim picture. Massive internal bleeding, organ damage, severe trauma to her primary respiratory system. "I'll need to operate," Victoria said. "It's going to be messy, and I'm going to be guessing on half of it. Do what you can." Victoria prepped her instruments while Marcus held the girl's hand. Her 3 remaining fingers curled weakly around his. The clinic door burst open. A man stumbled inside, his face pale. His name was Derek Sullivan, one of the quarter's security volunteers. "Marcus, we've got problems. The Korath are demanding we hand over the Silvery. They've got 2 full security teams at the main entrance, and there's a Covenant Arbiter with them." Marcus felt his stomach drop. Arbiters didn't show up for minor incidents. They showed up when someone violated interspecies law. When someone committed crimes that demanded immediate judgment. "How long do we have?" Marcus asked. "Minutes, maybe less." "They're threatening to breach the door." Victoria looked up from her preparations. "I can't operate with them breaking down the walls. She needs at least 2 hours of surgery, probably more." Marcus released the girl's hand and turned to Derek. "Get everyone armed. Every human who can hold a weapon. Have them form up at the main entrance." Derek's eyes went wide. "You're talking about a firefight with Covenant security. That's suicide." "Then we die," Marcus said. "But we die standing up, and we buy her the time she needs. Marcus, go!" Derek ran. Victoria grabbed Marcus's arm. "This is insane. You're going to get everyone killed for one alien you don't even know." Marcus looked down at the girl on the table. Her eyes had closed, her chest barely rising. "Maybe," he said, "but I'm not letting them finish what they started." He checked his plasma pistol, grabbed 2 more magazines from Victoria's weapons locker, and headed for the door. The main entrance to the human quarter had become a fortress in under 3 minutes. Shipping containers formed a barricade, welded together with whatever metal the engineers could grab. 42 humans stood behind it, armed with everything from military-grade plasma rifles to improvised weapons that looked like they'd been assembled from spare parts. Marcus pushed through the crowd to the front line. A young man named Kyle Peterson handed him a rifle without a word. The weapon was warm, already charged and ready. Beyond the blast door, the Korath were cutting through. Marcus could hear the high-pitched whine of their plasma torches, could see the metal beginning to glow white-hot in a perfect circle near the lock mechanism. "Listen up," Marcus called out. The crowd quieted. "In about 30 seconds, that door comes down. When it does, Covenant security is going to pour through here, expecting us to surrender. We're not going to do that." Someone in the back laughed nervously. "I'm not asking anyone to die today," Marcus continued, "but I'm asking you to hold this line long enough for Victoria to finish surgery. That girl back there was left to die like garbage. The Covenant doesn't care. The Korath don't care. But we're human, and we don't abandon people just because it's convenient." A woman near the front spoke up. Her name was Linda Dawson, a former combat medic. "What makes her worth all this, Marcus?" "Nothing," Marcus said honestly. "And everything. Because the moment we decide some lives don't matter, we become exactly like them."
The cutting torch punched through.
Molten metal dripped onto the floor, hissing and smoking. Marcus raised his rifle. "Here we go." The blast door exploded inward with a deafening boom. Korath security flooded through the gap, their armor gleaming, their weapons raised. Behind them came the Arbiter, a tall figure in flowing robes that seemed to shift colors in the light. Its face was hidden behind a ceremonial mask. "Humans of this quarter," the Arbiter's voice boomed through speakers. "You harbor a criminal. Surrender the silvery designated Subject 17, and this violation will be noted but not prosecuted." Marcus stepped forward. "She's not a subject. She's a person. And she's under our protection." The Arbiter tilted its head. "You do not understand what you protect. The Silvari are property of the Korath Empire under Treaty Section 9, subsection 42. She is a runaway slave. Her injuries are punishment for theft." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "Slavery. The Covenant allowed slavery." "Then the Covenant can go to hell," Marcus said. He fired. The plasma bolt struck the Arbiter's chest, staggering it backward. For a moment, everything froze. Then chaos erupted. The Korath opened fire and the humans returned it, turning the entrance into a storm of plasma and screaming metal. Marcus dove behind a container as bolts chewed through the space where he'd been standing. To his left, Kyle went down with a scream. His shoulder burned black. Linda dragged him to cover. Marcus popped up and fired 3 quick shots, dropping a Korath guard. The alien's armor held against the first 2 bolts, but the third punched through, and the guard collapsed. "Fall back to secondary positions," Marcus shouted. The humans retreated in stages, laying down covering fire as they moved. The Korath advanced slowly, professionally, their formations tight. They weren't trying to massacre the humans. They were trying to box them in, to force surrender. Marcus's communicator crackled. Victoria's voice came through, tight with stress. "I'm into the surgery. I need 40 minutes minimum. Her lung is collapsed, and I'm trying to reinflate it without killing her." "You'll get your 40 minutes, Marcus said. A plasma bolt grazed his arm, searing through his jacket. The pain was immediate and blinding. Marcus bit back a curse and kept firing. The Korath pushed forward, gaining ground meter by meter. There were too many of them, too well armed, too well trained. The humans were shopkeepers and mechanics and farmers who'd left Earth looking for a better life. They weren't soldiers, but they held the line. An explosion rocked the barricade. One of the containers buckled, its metal skin peeling back like paper. 3 humans went down, their bodies smoking. Marcus felt rage build in his chest, hot and fierce. "Push them back!" he roared. The humans surged forward, firing wildly, recklessly. The Korath advance stalled. One of their ranks broke as humans charged directly into their formation, using the close quarters to negate the alien's superior firepower. Marcus found himself face to face with a Korath warrior. The alien swung its blade in a wide arc. Marcus blocked it with his rifle, felt the weapon shatter under the impact, then drove his fist into the Korath's mandibles. Bone crunched. The warrior staggered back. Marcus scooped up a fallen plasma pistol and shot the alien point blank. Around him, the battle devolved into brutal close-quarters fighting. Humans and Korath grappled, fought with fists and improvised weapons. Blood mixed on the floor, purple and red. Then a sound cut through the chaos, a roar deep and resonant that seemed to vibrate through the station's walls. The fighting stopped. Every head turned toward the entrance. Something massive moved in the smoke and darkness beyond the breach. Something that made the Korath security teams back up instinctively. A ship had docked directly against the human quarter's outer wall. Not a Covenant vessel, something else. Its boarding ramp crashed down, and figures emerged. Humans. But not like any Marcus had seen before. They wore military armor painted in camouflage patterns, carried weapons that looked like they could punch through starship hulls. Their movements were synchronized, professional. Military. Earth military. The lead figure pulled off her helmet. She was maybe 30 with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing. "Marcus Cole?" "That's me," Marcus said, breathing hard. "Captain Amanda Pierce, Earth Defense Coalition, Special Operations. We picked up your distress beacon." She looked around at the carnage, then back at Marcus. "We're here to extract you and anyone else who wants off this station before the Covenant comes down like a hammer." Marcus shook his head. "I'm not leaving. Not until the Silvari girl is stable," Victoria's voice came through the communicator. "Surgery's done." "She's alive." Relief flooded through Marcus. Captain Pierce raised an eyebrow. "That's what this is about?" "One alien slave? That's what it's about." The captain studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled, fierce and sharp. "Well then, let's make sure she stays alive." Captain Pierce moved through the wreckage like she owned it, her team fanning out in practiced formation. The Korath security forces backed up another step, their weapons still raised but their certainty wavering. The Arbiter stood motionless, its masked face impossible to read. "Under Article 12 of the Sol Accords," Pierce announced, her voice carrying across the ruined entrance, "Earth Defense Coalition personnel have the authority to intervene in situations involving human casualties and interspecies violence. This quarter is now under EDC protection." The Arbiter's translator crackled. "The Sol Accords have no jurisdiction here. This station operates under Covenant law." "Wrong," Pierce said. She pulled a data tablet from her belt and held it up. "Check your records. 3 months ago, the Covenant Council ratified an amendment expanding EDC authority to any location with a human population exceeding 50 individuals. This quarter has 217. We're legal." Marcus stared at her. He'd never heard of any such amendment. The Arbiter was silent for several seconds. Then it gestured to the Korath forces. "Verify her claim." One of the guards activated a wrist communicator, speaking rapidly in the clicking Korath language. The conversation lasted nearly a minute. When it ended, the guard turned to the Arbiter and gave a curt nod. The Arbiter's robes shifted, colors rippling like oil on water. "The amendment exists. However, it does not supersede ownership rights. The Silvery remains Korath property. She must be returned." Pierce smiled without humor. "That's where you're wrong again. The moment Marcus Cole provided medical assistance to her, she became a ward of humanity under rescue and salvage protocols. You want her back, you file a legal claim and wait for the courts to sort it out. Could take years." The Arbiter stepped forward. Its voice dropped lower, taking on an edge that made Marcus's skin crawl. "You played dangerous games, human. The Korath Empire does not forget insults." "Neither does Earth," Pierce said. "And we've got longer memories and bigger guns." The standoff held for 10 heartbeats. Then the Arbiter turned and walked away, its robes trailing across the blood-stained floor. The Korath security forces followed, moving in tight formation, their weapons finally lowering. When they were gone, Marcus let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Pierce turned to him. "You just started an interstellar incident, you know that?" "Wasn't planning to," Marcus said. "Never is." She looked around at the wounded humans, at the makeshift barricades and the scorch marks on every surface. "How many did you lose?" 5 dead, Linda called from where she was treating the wounded. 14 injured, 3 critical. Pierce's expression hardened. "Get them stabilized. My ship has a full medical bay. We'll take anyone who needs it." She looked back at Marcus. "And we're taking the Silveri girl, too. She stays here. The Korath will come back with an army." "Where will you take her?" Marcus asked. "Sanctuary Station. It's an independent facility outside Covenant jurisdiction. She'll be safe there while we figure out what to do next." Marcus shook his head. "I'm going with her." "Marcus." Victoria emerged from the clinic corridor, still wearing her blood-stained surgical gown. "You can't just leave." "The quarter needs you." "The quarter needs to evacuate," Pierce interrupted. "All of you. The Korath won't let this go, and the Covenant won't protect you anymore. You've got maybe 12 hours before they revoke your charter and seal this place off." Silence fell across the quarter. People emerged from their hiding spots, looking around at their homes, their shops, their lives. "We built this place," Derek said quietly. "Spent 10 years making it work." "I know," Pierce said. "And I'm sorry, but staying here is suicide. My ship can take 300 passengers. We leave in 6 hours. Marcus pushed through the crowd toward the clinic. The Silvery girl lay on the operating table, her chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. Victoria had splinted her shattered leg, wrapped her burns in regenerative gel, and stabilized her collapsed lung. Tubes ran from her arms to IV bags filled with synthetic blood. She looked impossibly fragile. Marcus pulled up a chair and sat beside her. "Hey," he said softly. "You're going to be okay. We're getting you somewhere safe." Her eyes opened just a crack. Those golden irises found his face. "Why?" The word came out, barely a whisper, filtered through the translator implant Victoria had given her. Marcus thought about it. Because nobody deserves to die alone in an alley. I am property, she said. But the Korath will hunt you, kill you. Everyone you know. Let them try. She studied him with those alien eyes, and Marcus saw something shift in them. Not gratitude exactly. Something deeper. Recognition, maybe. Understanding. What's your name? Marcus asked. She was quiet for so long he thought she might have fallen unconscious again. Then she spoke, her voice gaining a fraction of strength. Kira. They called me Subject 17, but before, I was Kira. Well, Kira, I'm Marcus, and you're not property anymore. A single tear ran down her blue cheek. The next 6 hours passed in controlled chaos. The humans of the quarter packed what they could carry and left the rest. Pierce's team helped evacuate the wounded first, carrying them on stretchers to the EDC ship docked against the outer wall. The vessel was called the Valiant, a sleek destroyer that looked like it could take on half the Covenant fleet. Marcus helped where he could, moving supplies, coordinating evacuations, making sure no one got left behind. Every few minutes he checked on Kira, who remained unconscious but stable. As the deadline approached, he stood in the clinic one last time, looking around at the place that had been his home for 5 years. Pictures on the walls. A coffee mug he brought from Earth. Small pieces of a life he was abandoning. Victoria appeared beside him. No second thoughts? Plenty of them? Marcus said. Doing it anyway, she smiled. That's what I like about you. Too stubborn to know when to quit. They carried Kira between them, moving carefully through the empty corridors. The quarter felt like a ghost town now, all its life drained away. On the Valiant's bridge, Pierce stood at a tactical display, monitoring Covenant ship movements. We've got incoming, she said as Marcus entered. 4 Korath warships, closing fast. They're not even pretending this is a legal matter anymore. Can we outrun them? Marcus asked. Pierce grinned. We're about to find out. The Valiant detached from the station with a shudder that ran through its frame. Through the viewports, Marcus could see the Korath ships closing, their weapons charging. All hands, prepare for jump, Pierce announced. The stars stretched. Reality bent. And they were gone. The jump lasted 3 seconds that felt like an eternity. Space twisted around the Valiant, colors bleeding together in ways that made Marcus's eyes hurt. Then reality snapped back into focus, and they were somewhere else entirely. A massive station hung in the void ahead, easily 10 times larger than the trading post they'd fled. Its design was unlike anything Marcus had seen before. A chaotic mixture of architectural styles from 100 different species welded together into something that shouldn't work, but somehow did. Ships of every size and origin clustered around it like insects around a light. Sanctuary station, Pierce said. Last stop for refugees, criminals, and everyone the Covenant doesn't want. The Valiant approached slowly, joining the queue of vessels waiting for docking clearance. Marcus stood at the viewport, watching the controlled chaos of the station's exterior. He could see humans working alongside species he'd never encountered, repairing hull damage, loading cargo, living. Behind him, medical personnel wheeled Kira through the bridge on a gurney. She was awake now, her golden eyes tracking everything with sharp intelligence despite the pain medication. Where are we? She asked, her voice still weak. Safe, Marcus said, for now. The station's docking bay swallowed them whole. Massive doors closed behind the Valiant with a boom that echoed through the hull. Pierce guided them to a berth, and the ship settled onto its landing struts with barely a tremor. Welcome to the end of the line, Pierce said. They disembarked into a bay that looked more like a small city. Hundreds of people moved through the space, human and alien mixed together without the rigid separations Marcus was used to. The air smelled like engine grease and cooking food and freedom. A man approached them, tall and thin with gray hair and a prosthetic arm that gleamed silver. Captain Pierce. Wasn't expecting you back so soon? Emergency Extraction Director, Pierce said. 217 humans plus 1 silvery who's going to cause us problems. The director looked at Kira, his expression unreadable. Runaway slave? How did you know? Marcus asked. Because silvery don't leave their homeworld unless the Korath take them, and the Korath only take them for one reason. The director extended his human hand to Marcus. Name's Lawrence Kane. I run this place, for whatever that's worth. You're the one who started a war over her? I didn't start anything, Marcus said. Just finished what the Korath began. Kane laughed, short and sharp. I like you already. Come on, let's get your people settled before the Korath decide to test our defenses. They moved through the station in a group, Kane leading them through corridors that seemed to shift and change direction without warning. The refugees from the quarter followed, carrying their possessions, looking around with a mixture of wonder and fear. Kane brought them to a residential sector that had been hastily cleared. It's not much, but it's yours for now. We'll figure out permanent arrangements once everyone's had a chance to breathe. The humans dispersed, claiming rooms, setting down their bags. Victoria got Kira settled in the station's medical facility, a surprisingly well-equipped space run by a Helkari doctor who seemed to know silvery physiology. Marcus found himself alone with Kane in an observation deck overlooking the station's central hub. You know what you've done, don't you? Kane asked. Saved someone who needed saving. You've made the Korath Empire look weak. That's not something they'll tolerate. Kane turned to face him. They're going to demand her return. They're going to pressure the Covenant Council to sanction this station. And when that doesn't work, they're going to come here with warships and take her by force. Then we fight, Marcus said. With what? Sanctuary has defensive capabilities, but we're not a military installation. We can hold off pirates and raiders. We can't hold off an Imperial fleet. Marcus looked out at the station and all the people who'd found refuge here. What do you suggest? That depends on what you want. If you want to keep her alive, we can hide her. Smuggle her to the outer colonies where the Korath won't follow. She'll be safe, but she'll spend the rest of her life running. And the other option? Kane smiled grimly. We make her untouchable. We give her something the Korath can't take away, something that would cost them more than she's worth. I'm listening. Earth citizenship. Legal standing as a refugee under sole protection. The moment she becomes an Earth citizen, taking her by force becomes an act of war against humanity. The Korath won't risk that, not with the EDC breathing down their necks. Marcus felt hope flare in his chest. Can you do that? I can petition for it, but it takes time and we don't have much. The Korath will be here within 48 hours. Kane pulled out a data tablet and started typing. I'll need her to testify about her treatment. Document the abuse, the illegal imprisonment, everything. If we can prove the Korath violated their own laws, we might have a case. She can barely speak, Marcus said. Then you better hope she heals fast. Marcus returned to the medical facility to find Kira sitting up in bed, her legs still immobilized, but her color better. The Helkari doctor had removed most of the tubes, replacing them with small monitoring patches. How are you feeling? Marcus asked. Like I was beaten and left to die, Kira said. But there was something like humor in her voice, fragile and new. Marcus pulled up a chair. I need to ask you some difficult questions about what happened to you, what the Korath did. Her expression closed off immediately. Why? Because it might be the only way to keep you safe. Kira looked away, her golden eyes fixed on the far wall. I was taken when I was young. 6 solar cycles, maybe 7. The Korath came to my village during harvest season. They killed the adults who fought back and took the children. They said we were payment for a debt our planet owed. Marcus felt rage building in his chest again. They brought us to their breeding facilities, Kira continued, her voice flat and mechanical. Taught us to be obedient. Taught us that pain came from disobedience. I was assigned to a Korath noble's household when I reached maturity. 17 years of service, 17 years of being invisible. What made you run? Marcus asked gently. The noble's son. Kira's hands clenched into fists. He decided I would make a good breeding specimen. He said I should feel honored. I refused, so he broke my fingers to teach me gratitude. Her voice cracked on the last word. I stole credits from the household vault and ran. Made it to the trading station before they caught up to me. The beating was supposed to be an example. They were going to display my body in the slave quarter, show everyone what happened to runaways. Marcus reached out and took her hand carefully, mindful of her healing fingers. They're not going to touch you again, I promise. Kira looked at him, really looked at him, and Marcus saw the question in her eyes. Why? Why would a stranger risk everything for her? He didn't have a good answer. Just knew that walking away hadn't been an option. Will you tell your story to the people who can help? Marcus asked. It won't be easy, but it might save your life." Kira was quiet for a long moment. Then she nodded. "For you," she said. "Because you didn't leave me in that alley." Outside the medical facility, alarms began to wail. Kane's voice came over the station-wide intercom. "All personnel to defensive positions. We have incoming Korath vessels, multiple warships." This is not a drill. Marcus ran for the command center, his heart pounding. The war had found them. The command center erupted with controlled chaos. Tactical displays showed 6 Korath warships approaching in attack formation, their weapons already charging. Kane stood at the center of it all, issuing orders with calm precision. "Get our shields up," he commanded. "Scramble whatever fighter craft we have. And somebody get me a comm channel to those ships." Marcus pushed through to Kane's side. "How bad is it?" "Bad enough. They brought a heavy cruiser. That thing could crack this station open if we give them time." Kane turned to a communications officer. "Channel open?" "Yes, sir." Kane activated the microphone. "Korath vessels. This is Sanctuary Station Director Lawrence Kane. You are in violation of neutral space. Stand down immediately." The response came in seconds, the Arbiter's voice unmistakable even through the translator. "Sanctuary Station harbors stolen Korath property. Return Subject 17, and we depart peacefully. Refuse, and we will take her by force." "She's not property," Kane said. "She's a refugee under our protection. You have no authority here." "Then you have chosen destruction." The channel cut out. Kane cursed. "All batteries, prepare to fire on my command. Get those civilians to the interior shelters now." Marcus grabbed Kane's arm. "There has to be another way. We can't fight them." "You got any brilliant ideas? Now's the time." Marcus did, actually. A terrible, desperate idea that would either save them all or doom everyone. He ran from the command center, sprinting through corridors packed with people heading for shelter. He reached the medical facility in under 2 minutes. Kira was already being moved, the Helkari doctor wheeling her gurney toward the interior sections. Marcus intercepted them. "I need her," he said. "She cannot be moved further," the doctor protested. "Her injuries will kill all of us if we don't try this." Marcus looked at Kira. "Do you trust me?" She studied his face, then nodded. Marcus took control of the gurney and pushed it toward the communications hub. Victoria appeared beside him, matching his pace. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Something stupid." He burst into the communications center, startling the technicians. "I need a broadcast channel. Station-wide and external. Maximum range." "Sir, we're in the middle of—" "Now." They scrambled to comply. Within seconds, Marcus had access to every speaker on the station and every receiving ship within 10,000 kilometers. He positioned Kira's gurney in front of the visual pickup, making sure the cameras captured her injuries, her splinted leg, her healing burns. "My name is Marcus Cole," he said, his voice carrying across space, "and this is Kira. The Korath Empire calls her Subject 17. They call her property. I call her a person." On the tactical displays, the Korath ships held their formation but didn't fire. 3 days ago, I found Kira dying in an alley. The Korath had beaten her nearly to death for the crime of wanting freedom. They left her to die like garbage because she dared to believe she was more than someone's possession. Marcus took Kira's hand. "I'm broadcasting this to every ship, every station, every settlement within range. I want everyone to see what the mighty Korath Empire does to unarmed refugees. I want the Covenant Council to see the truth about their precious treaty with the slavers," the communications officer whispered urgently. "Sir, we're being picked up by news drones. This is going out across the sector." "Good. The Korath demand we surrender Kira," Marcus continued. "They threaten to destroy this station, to kill thousands of innocent people for one escaped slave, so I'm making them an offer. Take me instead." Kira's grip on his hand tightened. "No, I'm the one who saved her. I'm the one who shot your arbiter, who violated your precious laws. If you want justice, take it from me. But you let everyone else go. You let Kira go, and you do it in front of the whole sector so they can see the Korath Empire showing mercy." Silence on the comm channels. Then Kane's voice, tight with anger. "Cole, what the hell are you doing?" "Saving lives," Marcus said. "Theirs and mine. The Korath can't massacre a station full of witnesses now, not with every news agency in the sector watching. But they can't back down either without looking weak. I'm giving them a way out. More silence. Then the Arbiter's voice returned. Your offer is rejected, human. We do not negotiate with thieves. Marcus felt his gambit crumbling. Then Kira spoke, her voice carrying clearly through the broadcast. I am Kira of the Silveri people. For 17 years I served the Korath as a slave. I cooked their food, cleaned their homes, and endured their cruelty. When I refused to be bred like livestock, they broke my body and threw me away. She pulled herself more upright despite the pain, her golden eyes fierce. This human Marcus Cole saved my life. He risked everything for a stranger from a species he'd never met. He showed me more kindness in one day than the Korath showed in 17 years. If you want to punish someone, punish me for daring to want freedom. But leave him alone. The broadcast went silent again. On the tactical display, something changed. The Korath ships were receiving incoming transmissions, dozens of them, then hundreds. Other stations, other ships, all watching, all waiting to see what happened next. Kane's voice came through Marcus's earpiece. You magnificent bastard! You've turned this into a public relations nightmare for them. If they attack now, they prove everything you said. If they back down, they look weak. So what do? Marcus whispered. The answer came from an unexpected source. A new ship appeared on the scopes, dropping out of jump space between Sanctuary and the Korath fleet. It was massive, easily twice the size of the Korath heavy cruiser, and it bore the insignia of the Covenant Council itself. A new voice filled the channels, calm and authoritative. This is Covenant Arbiter Prime. All vessels will stand down immediately. This matter is now under Council jurisdiction. The Korath ships hesitated, then began powering down their weapons. Marcus let out a breath he'd been holding for what felt like hours. The next few hours passed in a blur of negotiations and legal proceedings. The Covenant Council, faced with undeniable evidence of Korath treaty violations broadcast across the sector, had no choice but to intervene. Kira was granted provisional refugee status pending a full investigation into Silvari enslavement practices. The Korath withdrew, their ships disappearing into jump space with a final warning that Marcus ignored completely. In the medical facility, as dawn cycle began on the station, Marcus sat beside Kira's bed. She was sleeping peacefully for the first time since he'd found her, her breathing steady and strong. Victoria appeared in the doorway. The council wants to interview you tomorrow. They're talking about charges against the Korath. This could change everything for the Silvari people. One crisis at a time, Marcus said. Victoria smiled. You know she's going to need someone to help her adjust. Learning to be free after 17 years of slavery, that's not easy. I know. You planning to stick around? Marcus looked at Kira's sleeping face, thought about the choice he'd made in that alley 3 days ago. Yeah, I think I am. Kira's eyes opened, finding his immediately. You stayed. Where else would I go? She smiled, genuine and warm, and Marcus saw in that smile the person she'd been before the Korath took her, the person she could become again. Thank you, she said simply. Don't mention it. Outside the viewport, ships came and went, bringing more refugees, more people looking for sanctuary, for hope, for a second chance. The station hummed with life, chaotic and beautiful and free, and in a small medical room, a human man and a Silvari woman who had found each other in the darkness began to believe that maybe, just maybe, tomorrow could be better than yesterday. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning.